We will call to order the regular board meeting of the Horry County Solid Waste Authority. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you all for being here. If we would, we'll please have the invocation by Mr. John Long and the Pledge of Allegiance by Ms. Pam Creech.
Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day and the breath in our lungs. Be with us and guide us in the way that is pleasing to you, our Lord, and give us wisdom and patience as we conduct this meeting. In your Son, Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We just need an approval of the agenda. Chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the November 24th, 2015 regular meeting. Chair will accept the motion.
So moved.
A motion, second. Any discussion?
Yes. I would ask that you give me,
Mr. Chairman, there was a discussion the last meeting about, I believe, Mr. Braden's question, as to whether there were any other remedies available before the board. And I mentioned censure, but did not recall that it was included in our local rules as a specific method under Article 5, Decorum and Debate, Section 5-8. Any member found in violation of these rules shall be liable to censure as deemed appropriate by the chairman or subject to recommendation or removal from the board as may be permitted by and in accordance with procedures set forth in the bylaws. So I believe there's a statement in the minutes that that addressed censure, but I think I said I did not think it was in our rules, but it is in our rules. It is an allowed procedure.
Okay, great. Let the minutes reflect the correction by Ms. Britton. Any other discussion on the minutes? If not, we'll, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We had no request for public input, so we'll go right into departmental updates, recycling and corporate affairs. Ms. Murphy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Early afternoon, excuse me. My report begins on page 33. We want to begin with just an update on our Clark Green Hands It monthly recognition program. This month we traveled to the Longs Recycling Center and caught Mr. Gordon Best in the act of recycling. He's a regular recycler at the Long Center, and he was very pleased and thankful to be recognized as the November Clark Green Handed recipient. The next update I want to give you is on our annual grinding of the greens program. It will go into effect the day after Christmas, December 26th, and will run through January 29th, or whenever the last Christmas tree is delivered here to the landfill. Free mulch is available around the second week of February once the trees have been ground. Santee Cooper has partnered with us on this particular campaign for many years and are again partnering with us. So if you have a live tree, please remember to recycle it through this program. The last update I want to give you is included in your packet, and it's just a listing of our holiday hours for all facilities. So that will include the administrative office as well as the landfill, the MRF, and the recycling centers. The same information will be placed online the first part of next week. Any questions? Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
I don't have any questions. I would just like to thank you for sending me the guidelines on the different bottle caps and how they fit on the bottle, because the groups, the League of Women Voters from Georgetown and Horry County, had a lunch at Prince Creek. And what they choose to do through education is not to use any plastics or any paper. They bring glass plates, forks, spoons, knives. They wash those, and they take them home with them. And they are very interested, as you know, in taking a tour. And while they were there, Ms. Jordan, the wife of the Greater Burgess community, was very impressed with what they were doing and was interested in recycling and the bottle cap issue, and is going to work on also getting a tour for the people in that
Yes.
Greater Burgess area.
Mhm.
And I think we need to do more of that, and you're willing to do that. You've set that up, Kendra has set that up, with a lady. And if I understand that correctly, it's gonna be on a Sunday,
I'd have
the
to,
18th?
I'd have to double check the date. I know it's, mid-January, but I'd have to
Right.
double check the date. But and as I mentioned to you, in our emails, we normally will do tours during our regular operating hours.
Right.
However, if a
Yeah.
group can't make it during those times, we will try to accommodate their schedule. So
Okay.
it's not unusual that it could be on a Sunday.
Right. Well, I do really appreciate that, you and Kendra both, because there are an awful lot of people in these groups, and education is what we need to be doing with them, and they're very interested in recycling and then re-educating their community, so I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed, and thank you, Ms. Murphy. Operations and Planning, Mr. Hilling. If you'll limp to the podium, please.
Trying to get that behind me.
Cold-hearted group.
Good afternoon. Just a couple brief things since we just met, last month so quick. And we just wanted to catch you up on our driver of the month for October and November. For October, we had, Hansel Cruz and Francisco Florentino from Pike Construction. Their pictures and letters are all in the board packet right there. And for November, we had, Vaughn Chichester from Chichester's, Home Care. Again, all those folks come in, work with staff real good, and have shown a good part to be real safe with staff out there, and observe speeds and work with our operators real good. So we want to make sure we recognize them. And one thing I think Mr. Graves, you had asked last month about the landfill space savings, I think for the what was going to Sandlands over there. And since we started, we had, I think, one load in September, and through the month of November, approximately 2.6 days.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions, Mr. Hilling? No, thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Bidding, Finance Administration.
I'm gonna be really short and sweet. Of course, due to the time constraints, we weren't able to process any financial reports for you this month, but we will have, of course, a complete packet for you again next month. Mr. Graves, I did talk with Vance Moore, and we are going to work on putting together the report for you, and he even maybe, would like for us to maybe sit down as a group so we can kind of be sure of what exactly we wanna put into this report. So we'll kind of schedule something maybe first of the year where we can do that as well.
Thank
Just
you.
One other update, this past Monday, Mike and I had mentioned to you last board meeting, we went to Darlington County, and Mike gave a wonderful presentation on everything we're doing out here at the landfill, and their county council was very pleased with everything that we're doing, and of course, said, you know, everybody there, the place they wanna go and see is always Horry County. So, it was fun, it was interesting, like I said, and they had a lot of good questions, and Mike offered our help in anything that they can do. They're working on putting together what they call a master plan for their landfill. And I think one of their biggest issues right now, it seems to be, is at the recycling centers, people leaving trash and they're closed, and at their landfill, outside of the gates. So I thought we're very fortunate in that we don't have those kind of issues, but it was a nice presentation, and we had a good time, so.
Which county was that?
That was Darlington County. All right, any questions?
And we do have a Finance Administration Committee meeting next Thursday.
That's right, we just set that up, finalized that today. Next Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, we're gonna have a Finance and Administration Committee meeting, just an update on the Charleston, contract.
Okay, that was what I was gonna say. I hope you will have a lot of figures and a lot of information
Yes,
for us
ma'am.
that day. Thank you.
Okay?
I'd like to add that, we will be talking to Charleston about these commodity pricing, and we should have some information to you on Thursday, when we finalize the figures, so, just let you know that we will be talking to Charleston.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Bidding?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Besson?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
The recycling incentive program, looks like that we've, issued out about $113,000 in customer savings so far this year, with $144,974 remaining in the budget. And if you'll notice, the current month incentive was down by almost $2,000. That has to do with the tonnage coming down related to the winter months is usually less than it is this. It's all got to do with tonnage. So that's pretty much what we've done. I added the last month's incentive basically so you could look at it and get a comparison to what the change was on a monthly basis, because before I've been keeping just the current month up there. Any questions on that? Also, I have two other things that I need to hand out. Mr. Graves had asked last time about the 42 categories for the waste study, and I have the preliminary waste study report that we've got here, and I'll give it to you, and you can keep it. You know, we're going to do the second phase of it in June, and we'll not have the final report until sometime in July. So, and things on that. But I wanted to give this to the board to so they could have it, and they can ask any questions they may need.
Thank you.
Also, I wanted to add that we did this week add the solid waste management plan is now currently on our website, and so is the disaster debris management plan as well. It's currently on site on our website where anybody can go look at it and read it. In fact, I had somebody come out today to the landfill that lives here on Highway 90, or was thinking about moving here on Highway 90, and he came out to visit us because it's going to be right here at the landfill, and he told me he had read that 300-page document. So, so I thought that was pretty good. He wanted to know what the plan with the landfill was before he moved here. So, from Connecticut.
Mr. Besant, this report's 25 pages long. Is there any sort of executive summary you could give us just briefly? Anything that you found out that was surprising or that we should be aware of, or?
The only thing that we did not do, and it's got, each page has got the different types, whether it be single or multifamily or anything like that, percentages wise. What you do see is there's a lot of paper, cardboard, those type things in the unit. Look at it at percentages wise. I did ask them to give me a consolidated report, since it broke it out in commercial, residential, and multifamily, and tourism. That's the three areas that breaks it up in the thing, and then list what percentages it found in those different ones. We are working with the City of Myrtle Beach weighs their waste as it comes here, so we were able to get the proper tonnage from them to try to make that happen. We're working with North Myrtle Beach now because they do not have scales, so we don't know what part of it is residential, what part of it is commercial. So we're trying to come up with some number where we can get you a good number on a consolidated number, because I think that's the one that's really going to tell the tale. The multifamilies, I think, is going to be good for the cities, because they can look at multifamily, because there's more multifamily units in those areas, and it sort of gives them an idea. And of course, the tourism areas is going to give them a lot of numbers. Those were the highest. In the tourist areas, there was the less waste being found out. And you know, we did 6 of the convenience centers, and they showed different numbers, and what impressed me in a lot of those was that cardboard was just about zero in a lot of them. There wasn't anything in them when they were coming from the convenience center, which is real good. All right.
Any other questions for Mr. Besant? Thank you very much. Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really have nothing to report on, but hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. But we have an operator, Mr. Springer's in the hospital with open heart surgery. Remember him? Buddy Gore, retired employees in Lord's Hospital. We went to see him yesterday, so remember the sick old people in the study. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Knight?
Old as I am.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. We had no committee reports, so next item on the agenda, I would like to thank everybody for exercising the restraint and decorum from the last meeting in a very difficult situation. I would encourage everybody to do that same thing again tonight. I'll remind everybody, please do not interrupt. Please do not talk over one another. Please do not raise your voices. I can assure you, everybody will have ample opportunity to speak to this issue. I don't think there's any reason to rehash the presentation that was made last month. We were all here. We all heard it. We know what the discussion was. I would like to have a brief recap. Mr. Gray, I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm very appreciative of your many years of service, public service, the things you've done for our community. I never, ever wanted you to be embarrassed in any way. It's the reason why so many meetings took place, so many phone calls happened, so many discussions were held. It's the reason why Eddie Dyer and you and I sat in my office for 2.5 hours. It's the reason why we kept it off the agenda last month until the very last minute to try to have an exit strategy that would be graceful. That being said, I do honestly believe that you've intentionally tried to harm the Solid Waste Authority. Mayor Keb Johnson and I talked this week, and he made the comment to me that he did not think that you had done anything to harm the authority, and I disagree completely. I think you've placed the agreement with Charleston in peril. I know that you've damaged the morale of our staff by accusing them of sending whitewashed reports and misleading information to county council, and that's damaged our relationship with council, and I feel like our board integrity has been compromised. I really think that you have tried to kill the Charleston County deal, and that being a self-fulfilling prophecy where we will end up holding a lot of unnecessary startup costs. And you'll be able to say, see, I told you, but that won't be before you will have not only voted but also made the motion to expend significant funds to purchase equipment to handle additional recyclable materials from Charleston. So, you know, much has been said about how county council is going to respond if we vote to send a recommendation for removal. And as y'all know, we can't control that, nor should we try. County council will vote how county council elects to vote. There's also been much discussion about the League of Cities and us driving a wedge between the league and county council. Again, we can't control that, nor should we try. I think if the League of Cities, after the evidence, in my opinion, that shows improper conduct by a board member, if the League of Cities elects to continue to endorse Mr. Gray as their appointee and nominee to represent them on this board, then so be it. We cannot control that. I do wish that the issue would be more about the conduct and behavior and less about personal relationships and who you know and who you are and who you're kin to. So that being said, I'm disappointed in the conduct and behavior. I feel an obligation as the chairman of this board to bring it up for discussion. I feel an obligation that we, if the board decides, sends a recommendation to county council, after that, our obligation's completed. We will not have any say-so whatsoever on what happens between county council and League of Cities after that. So, Mr. Gray, I'll turn the floor over to you to respond however you'd like.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too appreciate the time that was granted to me and to everybody at our last meeting 2 weeks ago. So I couldn't disagree more with your opening comments. I think that what is proposed and what's going to happen today is unprecedented and drastic. And we're not fully recognizing the difference between dissent and disruption. But having said that, I've been here 4 years, through the month almost. In that time, every effort that I have made has been to make the Solid Waste Authority be as good as it could be. And there are a number of ways that I could point out that we are a better organization than we would have been without my involvement in some issues. But I'm not going to elucidate that because I don't think that really, I don't think it would be taken into consideration. I'll just say that that's my feeling. As it relates to the Charleston deal, I think it's critically important that that deal work. I've not done anything to disrupt or hinder that contract. In fact, our MRF, as we all know, is losing $400,000 or $500,000 a year. This Charleston deal gives us a chance to overcome that loss and maybe go into the black. And by doing that, we save precious landfill space. But I recognize that you made the opening statement. You're our chairman. I'll wait for the inevitable motion to remove me.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Any other board members? Questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Graves?
I'd like to inquire from, our attorney, the steps that would be taken for censure or the code sections that apply to that.
A step for censure may be taken, either through the chairman's powers, chairman may declare censure, or, it says, or subject to recommendation of removal from the board as may be permitted, if there's a violation of these rules. So the chair could deem it appropriate. The chair, I think, has authority in that regard to entertain, the opinions of the members of the board on that subject as to whether censure would be appropriate. And that would relate to, a finding of rule violation.
Thank you.
Any other? Mr. Long?
So what's the range of censure?
In terms of the grounds, or
In terms of the consequences.
it is really, like, a reprimand if you were an employee, except in the case of a board, it's a public reprimand, and it would go into the minutes, and it's really a, strong statement of concern regarding, a, determination of rule violation. And it would basically say this is a serious matter, and that, it's really an interim step before a possible interim step before you could, consider, more, definite action such as removal. It is not a required interim step, but it's an available interim measure.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? Street?
Yes, I guess I would, since I didn't have a whole lot to say at the last meeting. But from the time I took my seat on this board, I have met, listened to, and worked with Mr. Gray, showing a great deal of respect, that I've given any board member. I strongly felt disagreements, passionate arguments, and genuine debate are often elements of the most effective boards, and I believe in those. If a member consistently disrupts meetings, is unwilling to let the majority prevail, and doesn't follow the bylaws, which prevents the organization from working well, it is appropriate to consider removal. In minutes of our meetings, said you acted, Mr. Gray has even said he acted impolitic, has real violations, was wrong, and is sorry, and will not continue to do the things anymore. This has been going on for over 4 years. You must know that this behavior would be detrimental to any organization's ability to be productive and effective. You've also said that you were sorry many times. Being genuinely sorry to me is actually admitting what you have done with no excuses, thereby having enough genuine regret to not repeat this behavior. You haven't done this. You've sent emails and texts accusing staff and our board of intentionally sending misleading figures, whitewashing our reports. That's not fact gathering to me or trying to reach solutions at this board and in our board's discussion. This is harmful, in my opinion, not only to the Solid Waste Authority, but to the League of Cities, County Council, they're working together, and to the public that we work for. Your behavior and choices are why we are here today. I would rather be anywhere else. I don't rubber stamp, whitewash, go along to get along, do favors, or drink the Kool-Aid of any side, or play good old boy politics. I don't expect you or any other board member to think that that is what you have to do to sit on a board. I expect board members to work together to find solutions to our problems, because every organization has and will always have problems. That's what we're here for, is to solve those, and to solve them in a board setting. I believe if I vote to leave you on this board, you will continue to do in the future what you have done in the past. I don't want to have to go through this process again. It's very uncomfortable. We're not living in reality TV or soap opera. To me, this is serious business, and that's the way I feel about this.
Thank you, Mr. Street. Jones?
Yes, I'd like to address the email we all received from Kev Johnson earlier this week, in which he questioned the true facts of the Solid Waste Authority's board action. First, as far as I know, the only kind of fact is the true one, so I'm confused by his choice of words. However, my primary concern is what information Mr. Gray has presented and to whom that would prompt Mr. Johnson's comments. I am personally and professionally insulted by Mr. Johnson's insinuation that members of this board have not faithfully and conscientiously performed their duties and have not told the truth. This board continues to deal with problems created by Mr. Gray. He has repeatedly assured us that his actions would change. Nothing has changed in his behavior, nor do I believe it will as long as he stays on this board.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anyone else? Mr. Gray?
I didn't have anything to do with Jeff Johnson. So you're referring to there.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Any other questions, comments, discussion?
I believe everything that we can do at a board level has been done. Censor to me is talking strongly to someone. I think that's happened over the last 4 years. I think this needs to move to another level. At INR, we were asked to handle this if we couldn't, to bring it back with a recommendation. Having said that, I would like to make a recommendation to move it back to INR with a recommendation to remove Mr. Gray from the board.
Okay, we have a motion to send
I'll
back to
second that.
INR and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Long?
I would just ask, Ms. Britton, is that, the procedurally correct to send it to INR, or are we supposed to send it directly to the county council?
It's my understanding it would go to county council.
It goes to county council.
Would you like to amend the motion to?
I would like to amend the motion for it to go to county council.
Mr. Jones? So we have a motion, a second, that the recommendation would go to county council for removal. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
I mentioned earlier that this is a unprecedented, drastic action. I'm sure all of you are but I would point out that, for the reasons that Mr. Long, made a motion to table at the last meeting still stand. Was seconded by Mr. Graves. And what that does, is that if it's tabled, then at any time, any person, any member, can bring it back up and deal with the issue forthwith, right then and there. I know that my word is not accepted, but I can assure you that I will never write an email or text message or telephone call or anything like that related to the business of the board, outside of the board itself. But if I do, there's an immediate relief that's being talked about today, and that's simply to bring off the table everything that's been brought to this point. Nothing is lost. I'm adjudicated just as inappropriate at that time as I am now, and so I would like to make a motion or a counter motion that this matter be tabled.
We've got a motion and a second on the table and under discussion right now, so we'll need to vote on that first. Any further discussion on the motion and second that we have on the table now?
First, I'd like to, point out that the bylaw does say it has to be for cause. And, you know, as Mr. Graves mentioned, the due process considerations, there should be a statement of cause that forms the basis for the recommendation, in the record.
With the motion,
I would at least have a statement with the motion. Even if it's a summary statement where you're gonna refer to documents or information supports the motion.
I would refer to the documents that the chairman read at the last meeting and the comments from this meeting as reason for cause.
satisfactory?
And by the documents, you mean the, collection referred to as the book?
Yes.
Okay. In the last meeting,
Yes.
discussed. Also on a motion to table, under the rules, the motion to table removes a subject from consideration until the board votes again to consider the subject. It's not debatable, but requires a second. So it would require a second and vote.
To table?
Right.
Okay. So we have a motion to table from Mr. Gray. And so it dies for lack of second. Any further discussion on the main motion that we have? Ms. Graves?
Thank you. And I'll do my best, Esther, to talk into the microphone. Very much concerned with due process, very much concerned with Mr. Gray's rights to defend himself and the actions prior. I'm also very sensitive to the League of Cities and their right to have the representative of their choice on this board. And my duty is to act in the best interest of the Solid Waste Authority. I was presented this week with what has been referred to as the book, and I went through it. I met with Mr. Campbell to, I guess, to get it. I don't know, he delivered it to me. But I went through the whole thing, and this would form the basis of my vote, and I think it's important personally that I read these in the records. I think I can do it in 6 minutes or less, but these are the reasons that I would forward to council for my vote. An email in and around September the 4th, 2013, that was sent actually from what I believe to be Dan Gray's email to Dan Gray's email, which is DANG 595527 @AOL.com, copied. So I don't know how, when you're sending emails to yourself, they get out to other people. But it references, it reads, such an arrogant and ill-advised method of announcing county business. This is in regard to disposition of 2,000 acres of public land. This high-handedness compounds the folly of the original disclosure by the Solid Waste Executive Director, an amazing dismissal of public accountability. This eventually found its way to Councilman Loftus and Mr. Gosnell, which is unfortunate. There was another email sent on October the 24th, 2013, which is from the email address DANG 595527 @AOL.com, regarding the 501c3 component in Form 990. It states, does it give appearance of hiding something if not done, is the substance of that email. And I think that implies a sense of wrongdoing, perhaps from folks inside the organization. There is what appears to be Facebook comments in and around October the 26th, I presume 2013, where it's listed an individual named Dan Gray. Why does the $22 million component of Horry County government refuse to file an information return, a Form 990, as required by the IRS for tax-exempt organizations? Why not put it out there? Why hide? And in the comment section, it states, from Dan Gray, we can hire fancy pants lawyer lobbyists in Columbia and Washington, pay lots of money, have things your way. The next comment from the same person, make sure consultants / lobbyists who bankroll politicians on your payroll. It goes on, and there's other people in the conversation, one of which states, I wonder who you're talking about, some heads need to roll. And these are, I guess, either comments that are invited or somehow received by this dialogue. The Dan Gray person writes again, I am forbidden by Cosa Nostra rules from saying more publicly. Call me for amplification. And then the next comment is Dan Gray, I'll send you a copy of meeting minutes and video unless they are scrubbed. Dan Gray writes again, and I'm paraphrasing, much apparent skullduggery here. I've already suffered greatly from asking these kinds of questions, code red several times. And one individual stated that as thanks Dan, thanks, I deleted the post. And Dan Gray wrote later on, there are not good to name in any organization here, repercussions, monopoly, police state. Going on to an email from Mark Kelly to Councilman Jody Prince, Gary Loftus, Mark Lazarus, chairman, regarding a Horry County SWA spending $5,000 of public money on a PAC and lobbyists. The Mark Kelly writes, did you see this? Something needs to be done. The email that was forwarded was from Dan G 595527 @AOL.com to DANG 595527 @AOL.com, and it reads, in part, Horry County SWA spent $5,000 in public money on a PAC lobbyist. Those and embarrassing expenses such as those above and others like paying a Columbia law firm $12,000 to find a way to keep from filing a federal income tax return, thus possibly be easily hidden or made difficult to identify, which generated the response. Actually, I believe that went somehow to a blog known as the Grand Strand Daily, in which it was stated that the SWA's contributions to conservation of voters of South Carolina for sponsorship tables. Anyway, Conservation Director Timberlake responded, contributions to the CVSD and Green Tie sponsorship fund the general operations of conservation voters, a nonpartisan, independent 501c4 organization that seeks to protect South Carolina's air, land, and water through education, advocacy, and accountability, basically denying whatever accusations were in the email. Moving on to May 9th. The May 9th area of 2015. May 8th, Dan G. 595527 @AOL.com. Apparently to himself, wrote Harold Worley, Arrigo Karate, Marilee Hatley, Elise Lawson, Danny Knight, Mike Campbell, Northfreak Jones, Greg Hembry, Wayne Beam, etc. All members of the NMB Mafia, HCC District 1, with the exception of Karate and Lawson. There are others with similar associations who are plotting a civil conspiracy to keep me off the SWA board, reading in part. Many of the above folks hang out the card room, the back room. Mr. Jones, regarding Mr. Jones, I question his ethics and reasons for being on the board for 4 terms when only 2 are allowed. The SWA is a beehive of questionable practices, which I don't rubber stamp. And lastly, this is to Diane, a reporter at the Charleston Post and Courier, from the email address dang595527 @AOL.com. Diane, reliable sources indicate that Charleston County Solid Waste has ordered new equipment for the Romney Street MRF so that it can handle the recyclables now being shipped to Horry County. The $4 million that Horry plans to make, plus the $2.7 million in trucking Charleston is paying, could remain in Charleston if Romney were operating. Could you check this out? Start with Mitch Kessler, the Charleston consultant and the recyclables manager for Charleston County. Please share what you are able to find, and I will do the same. Thanks, Dan Gray. And then there's a link to My Horry News. For those reasons, it appears to me, especially with the last email, that should there be a foment of anger beyond that, that it could cause harm to the Solid Waste Authority. Thank you. I want to put these in the record as my notes.
Thank you, Mr. Grove.
Am I able to respond?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I know that, based on what interpretation Mr. Graves put on the interrogatory to a newspaper reporter, what I was trying to get at was the very thing that we had discussed around this table. What harm might come to us if we, in good faith, rank up to increase our feedstock by a factor of 3, a huge increase, and that they might pull out as, no, there's a convenience clause, I think it's called, anyway, you can get out in 60 days. And so what I was, in fact, there's another newspaper article, and this goes to the notion of the black book that Mr. Knight primarily has a symbol. He called it the green file. It's cherry picked. There are a lot of emails and messages that are complimentary or benign or just straightforward business, but only the ones that are most hurtful to me are the ones that are read into the record. But where I was going was that there was a quote, an earlier quote, in the same newspaper where the county administrator said that they were considering a number of options, of course, including coming to Horry County with their recyclables, but also refurbishing and restarting their Romney Street MRF. And so that's why I wrote the newspaper reporter, because she was the only person at the time that I could think of that Mike could check on. Well, do we need to be concerned about an early pullout by the contractor? I don't view that as being harmful. And in fact, I view that as being protective. And all I was trying to do was to make sure that we were not being blindsided to bail out Charleston in the short run, and they had a longer or additional plan to go back into operation well before we could recover our startup costs.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Absolutely, Mr.
And,
Groves.
you know, speaking with the press and, not, you know, present company excluded and all that, you are a board member of this organization, and somehow implying to that member of the press in another jurisdiction that somehow $6.7 million, which is a significant amount of money, could stay in their jurisdiction if they conducted their business differently, I take as a threat to this organization. I believe that raising that question when I had not seen it raised anywhere else, perhaps you have, is something that perhaps could put the whole deal in jeopardy. It just seemed that you chose the most public of avenues to raise your question when we have an executive director that can make that phone call and get those assurances from those people. But I typically, perhaps it's just my practice, don't call news reporters to ask them questions about how government should operate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Graves. Any further comments, discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor. We'll call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Long, was that I'm sorry, I didn't hear. So we've got 5, and then opposed, Mr. Long and Mr. Gray. As the motion carries, and as you know, it takes a supermajority from this board to send that recommendation to council. And I'll remind everybody that that's all that is from this board, is a recommendation. Again, at this point, I feel like our obligation has been completed. How the county council votes will be up to county council, and we will fulfill our obligations by our bylaws with a supermajority vote and notify council in writing, and also Mr. Gray in writing of the decision of the board. And at that point, it'll be up to county council as how we will move forward. Ms. Britton, is there anything else from a legal standpoint that?
Nothing further. Let's make sure that Mr. Graves' documents are included
In the minutes?
record, in
Okay,
the minutes.
great. Thank you. Okay, moving along to new business, we've got the,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Gray?
I may have the privilege of excusing myself early.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gray.
I think the business of the day as it relates to me has been degrading and downsizing enough. I'd like to excuse.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gray. Thank you.
Wish each of you and all of you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You as well. I'm sorry that it came to this, and I wish that it hadn't, but wish you a Merry Christmas as well. Thank you. Moving along in the agenda, under new business, financial assurance, Ms. Bidding?
Yes, as you're all aware, state law requires that, all permitted landfills are to provide financial assurance within 120 days of the close of the fiscal year, which for us would be December 31st, 2015. You can do this in many different fashions. We do it by what they call the local government financial test. What this does is this assures that we have the financial means in place to cover any closure or post-closure cost if we were to close as of today. And normally I have a completed report for you. I am still waiting on the revenue figure from Horry County. That we also include that, as you can see on page, it's the number 4 on page 3 of the handouts that I've given you, their revenue figure. What we have to do is we include their revenue figure, and our revenue figure has to be more than 43% of the total expenses. And so I did get a draft figure from them just to verify that we will meet that requirement without any problems. Once they complete their CAFR and it's approved by county council, I will go back and of course complete this report and get it sent to DHEC. They've assured me that it'll be here. They said mid to late December, so I should have it time. So in January's report, you will see a final completed report, but I just do need board's approval to, once everything's completed, to send this to DHEC by December 31st.
Got a request from staff on recommendation to send to DHEC the report. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to accept the recommendation.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Ms. Bidding.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any need for a roundtable discussion? Any items?
I have
Mr.
one matter,
Graves?
please. Thank you.
Absolutely.
This past weekend, the Horry County Schools had the first Lego robotics competition at the Carolina Forest Elementary School. And the theme for this year is, I think it's called Trash Trek. All of the disciplines that are used in the robot exercise are trash related, either dumping or hauling or disposing in some way. And there are other elements of the competition that include team spirit, teamwork, robot design, and those types of things. But this is right up our alley. It's all about trash. Last year, the theme was how to run a household. But the students were encouraged, and they're very creative, very young and creative people. They made iPad bags out of shopping bags. They made blankets and jackets out of shopping bags, just weaving them all together. But there's a competition, the state level competition is in February, and I would ask that the Horry County, we get in touch with Horry County Schools and get involved in that. And additionally, there's the Horry County Tech Fair, I believe, that is in March. Many of the students that are participating in this will participate in that as well. And so if we're not already participating, it would be a very good thing. It's right up our alley this year.
Absolutely. And Conway had come and asked for access to the store for materials for the robotics scrap.
This is actually different than that.
Okay.
That's a higher level of competition.
Okay.
This is the little plastic squares, and they're using aluminum and steel and big gears. But the education of it is the same mechanism to program the larger one is what programs the smaller one. So it's just a matter of scale. And I don't think, even the Conway team, I don't think they know what the project is this year. There's a date that they are given the outline, and then they've got 6 weeks to do it. This is different. These children have been
Good.
working.
Thank you for clarifying that, but I'm impressed. I agree. I think it's a wonderful program and right up our alley. Ms. Creek?
I think we should too, and I don't know if yours or the other, I don't want to say children, but at my age, they really are, that were here last time, that we could help and work with that. I think it's marvelous, and I think they should be a part of the Tech Council. I think I'd talked with Esther about talking with them for us to participate with them, and I just think that that is a great thing, and I think we need to have a recycling meeting, and maybe we could put all of these things together and start some kind of way to work with all of them as soon as possible.
Thank you, Ms. Creek. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I think we've all learned that that's where recycling starts. You're not gonna change us much, but you can reach them, and they can encourage mom and dad a lot better than we can. I think that's where our recycling starts. It's a great idea.
Right. We'll plan to do that. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Any further discussion about that item or other roundtable discussion items? Ms. Creech?
I almost forgot, Mr. Bo Ives with, that works with picking up the trash, Palmetto Pride, has mentioned to me that a lot of people have talked with him about having that next year's meeting. I think we take their trash in and their awards, and he mentioned to me if there was some place here that we could actually have everyone gather, it would be easier for us to transfer it to the landfill, that we could also educate 200 or 300 people and give them tours of the landfill. And I don't really know if we have a building or a parking lot that's big enough for that, but I thought that was a rather good idea.
Absolutely.
I checked into that, Ms. Creek talked to Lisa and told her that we were very open. It'll be on a Saturday, and we will be open. There'll be traffic out, but I think there's a way that we can work out parking and park in the store and walk across and those type of things. So I told her when they met, we would meet with them in any way that we can work with them, we'll certainly do it.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
The other thing, a professor from Coastal called me and was talking with me about we've lost so much land for mitigation. There are other ways to mitigate our highways, that we're building for DOT, and he had talked with me about having, a plot of land that you can mitigate by taking endangered species, flowers, floral, and absolutely getting their students at their cost to move these plants out of the wetlands that are being mitigated, and it would help us with having more mitigation points. They can't do it at coastal because, as he said, 10 years from then, their board of directors might put a football field there. So the Corps of Engineers and those kinds of agencies would not allow that. But he did ask me if we had some property, that we would think about, setting aside where his students and he could work with that mitigation with the Corps of Engineers that would be permanent to move these plants to. So maybe staff would like to think about that, and we could work with them on that. I think it would be a good educational project, and I think it would also help us with mitigation on some of the new highways and things that we're doing. If every staff would kind of look at that and see, bring it back to us and let us know if that would be appropriate. Having said that, mitigation properties are worth an awful lot of money. And while I think we've just given the county 16 acres for a few things, I think we need to have our staff look at what property we have and what it would be worth dollar-wise in mitigation before we start giving away a lot of land. So that might be a way to mitigate some of our property, to put more money in our closure and post-closure. And I would really like for staff to look into all of that before we make those decisions. Thank you.
Mr. Knight?
Street, if you'll tell the professor to come on out, we'll ride and we'll take a look and find out just exactly what he's got in mind. And yeah, we can, start there. And there's some couple of areas that, are real neat. We got a limestone sink, which is a depression, could be worked around there, so, we look forward to working with him, talking with him, and then we'll bring recommendations back before we agree to anything.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Knight. Any other roundtable discussions? This or other? No? No need for an executive session, Ms. Britton? Anybody? Okay. If not, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, everybody. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in 2016.